yeah. I was hoping I'd run into you. Thanks. I love to sit here in the sun. Any news since I saw you last? Sure, I know. It's the same for all of us. She wouldn't even know what day it was. Struggling? No, I can't say I'm struggling, even with the second lockdown. In fact, can I let you into a little secret? The truth is, and I'm almost ashamed to say it out loud, I'm thriving on it. Oh God, I've shocked you now, I'm sorry. But let me explain to you. Okay. Think back to March. Seems ages ago now, doesn't it? Well, the day the pubs closed, I walked out of a pub I'd worked in since I was 16 years of age. Now well, no need to go into specifics, but you can see for yourself that 16 is well in the rearview mirror. I never finished school, you see. Wasn't a great one for the books, and in those days, it's not like now, where every idiot has to have a degree, even if they never use it. The funny thing now is they get their degree, then a master's degree, and their doctor's degrees. And often they end up working in a pub, just like I did, with my intercert. Anyways, I started out clearing tables and keeping the place clean, and eventually they put me behind the bar. I'd have to laugh when I heard them talking on the radio about wet pubs. Sure, we never called them that. Maybe we should have. I wouldn't like to tell you all the bodily fluids I came across in all my years there. If you stick around long enough, though, you end up knowing where the bodies are buried. And by the time I was 28, I was the manager. And no need for congratulations. It wasn't as if it was the bar of the Shelburne Hotel. But you know, it was a grand little spot in its own way, and it was where I met himself. He was a Guinness rep, and it was nice to have a fella coming in the door that went out of it the same way, steady on his own 2 feet, if you know what I mean. I never took any interest in those fellas who had to be poured out the door or coaxed to give up his car keys. Saw too much of where that could lead you, let me tell you. No, himself was the right one for me. Good grafter like myself, and with a bit of determination to do something with his life. He'd come into the pub close to closing time and help me tidy up, and God, we talked for hours about our plans for the future. Oh yeah, that's right. We got married in 1977. And because we wanted so much to have a nice house of our own, I stayed on in the job, though a lot of women didn't in those days. We saved every penny of my wages. And even when the twins arrived in 1979, I was back at work in 2 months, and his mother used to mind the twins for me, and, you know, between me leaving for work for that hour and himself coming home. Hard. You bet it was hard. I never drew breath for a minute between looking after the twins, the house and the bar, and that's how it went for years and years, because first it was the house, and then we needed a new car, and Then the twins needed new shoes or a visit to the dentist or a school tour or whatever you're having yourself. And before I knew it, I was working to pay their college fees and a flat in Dublin for him and the college campus in Galway for her. And as soon as they came off the payroll, the house needed new windows and rewiring and what have you, so I never got out from behind that bar. Oh, yeah. They're in their 40s now, with 9 kids between them. 9! Sure, even me without a leaving cert and living in a time where contraception was illegal knew how not to overburden the planet with me offspring. But my 2 hugely educated children went out and multiplied as if there was no end of money. I was thinking of retiring, only I figured out that I'd spent all my time looking after the grandchildren. So I hung on to my job, and even so I'd often get landed with dropping them to school or picking them up. Himself died, you see, of a heart attack in 2007. We were 40 years married, and just at the point where there was no mortgage and the kids were gone, and it was supposed to be our time. Reward for good behaviour, but yours wasn't to be. Thank you. That's kind of you, but I wasn't looking for sympathy. I was a very lucky woman to have had him for as long as I did. But the thing was, it was around that time when the twins started saying things like, "But sure, you have your grandchildren." Now, my grandchildren are just that. Grand. But have you ever heard the saying, it's the second clutch that killed the clocker? No, I wasn't going down that road. So I stayed on at the bar and called myself a career woman. How long? Well, I started there in 1972, so the guts of 50 years. Oh, and I have to admit, my feet were killing me. But sure, I didn't know how to quit. It was all I knew, you see. I wasn't even the manager anymore, just a sort of a spare barmaid who'd go in whenever they were looking for someone, which was very often. I don't know whether they thought they were doing me a favour or I was doing them one. And then, out of nowhere, it just shut. I woke up one morning in my house on my own, the day stretching out in front of me, the grandchildren at a safe distance, and the twins working from home and figuring out their own kind of problems, and all I had was time. And do you know what? It was wonderful. No, I don't find the day long. Sometimes it isn't even long enough for all the things I want to do. Reading, walking, Netflix, yoga, think of my own thoughts. God, I just love it. I even pretend not to be able to work the Zoom calls and the WhatsApp videos when I don't feel like talking to them. And of course they believe me because, well, I'm only a retired barmaid who never got a leaving cert. It's true, you know. Ignorance is bliss. Oh, and these walks. Oh, they're lovely. I've seen the canal in all its seasons, in all its colours, things I never had the time to really look at properly. And I've met lovely people, like yourself, who just want to talk and listen and who don't want me to do anything for them except talk and listen back. So thank you. Will we get up and walk for another little bit? And maybe tomorrow you can tell me your story.